Welcome back to another episode of Inside Access Control, sponsored by SIA. Very excited to have Kisi join me today. Bernhard, thank you very much for taking the time.
No worries. Pleasure to be on.
Absolutely. I've been a fan of your product, and you and I, we've known each other actually over the years now. At this point, it's probably got to be close to, I don't know, 5 some years. So excited to have you join. And I thought what we do is, why don't we start off with you introducing yourself and the company, and then you wrote a recent blog, which I thought was great. It talks about trends and really coming out of COVID crisis, what we think some of the phase changes will be, and a lot of them we agree, and some of them I'd love to dig into. So kick it off with just an intro.
Cool, yeah. My name is Bernhard. I'm the co-founder of Kisi, and what you mentioned when we got to know each other about 5 years or so ago, we started as like a mobile access only solution that overlays on top of the more traditional systems. So we're kind of a nice to have. And now what we're experiencing these days is that we're really becoming more of a workplace tool. And I thought that's like really interesting for the industry as a whole to talk about. And that's why we wrote this blog post that you're mentioning. And I think it's really interesting for everyone to talk about how they can play a role at the workplace in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So could you talk a little bit about what are some of the things that you think the workplace of the future is going to look like?
Um, Maybe more like a coffee shop or something.
Yeah, fair.
Um, so definitely very dynamic, right? So I think that's kind of the biggest change. You can maybe work in whatever office you want. You maybe have a certain amount of hours in the office and outside the office to work. You can book it on demand. It's essentially becoming real estate on demand. That's part of our mission to enable. So you can really make real estate a dynamic product like any other products are already. And that's why I think there's a lot of changes coming for access control. And whoever approaches them proactively, I think, will have a seat on the table if it comes to more C-level discussions, because access control is essentially becoming the gateway to office control, right? So, and that's what makes it so exciting for us. It's not just anymore a security product that you buy for, that you don't get robbed or something, but it's really impacting health. It's really impacting how you report on your real estate. It's how you make real estate decisions. And that's what makes it so powerful coming out of this crisis.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we've been talking about it as it was happening, I think, before a bit. We were becoming a bit more mainstream. You're starting to see, and really the big mainstream side was the delivery side of things. That was, everyone was talking about that. Amazon got involved, UPS, the rest of them, right? And then COVID. So then health, we talk about it sort of T-boned the convenience and security conversation that was happening. And it has, we've seen, and through conversations, it's brought up the level of awareness that people had. And like you said, it's going to bring in different stakeholders now that have different importance. And that security subject is still important, but it's definitely not the only thing that people are going to be looking for.
Yeah, and it may be like from what our experience was so far in access control is, we try to explain security side of things to our customers, but mostly it's so abstract they don't understand it. It's more like they have maybe a certain purchasing process that checks those things, but it's not the number one decision-making criteria. And in the past, it was already more operational decisions, like how easy it is to add and remove someone from the system. How easy is it to see the events from remote and things like that. And what we feel like is that is happening right now is that this just becomes so amplified that all of a sudden they want to do workplace functions with access control. And that's kind of where it becomes more of this operational tool that helps with security, but also safety and just real estate management in general.
Now, do you see systems like yours sort of expanding, if you would, from a user interface, or do you think that you will be more of a part of somebody's system that might be controlling all those things? How do you view, or maybe it's both?
Actually, it's both. So far, we've used this crisis pretty intensively in regards to partnerships. Like we launched partnerships with Cisco, Google, Microsoft, Okta, like the main tools you use at work pretty much. So we definitely want to be a part of those, ecosystems. And but there's also a couple of features that they don't have yet. And for access control, if you think about mobile access, most of the companies don't have a mobile workplace app. So there's some functions that they would want to see that could only happen in a mobile workplace app. For example, a certain type of compulsory um, surveys, or some sort of yes, I was the last one indicator, or any kind of commenting function, like anything that can create like more visibility in what's going on at the workplace and who is there and what condition something is in. I think that is not really reflected yet in a lot of the existing tools that we could partner with. We partner with one company that is Envoy, and they have been very quick in adapting to this new normal. And that's, for example, a new workflow that we haven't thought of before,
Right.
that we are working on with them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do think the nice part about this is the collaboration side. I think the expectation, that's one of the things where before it was sort of uh, the access control industry, it felt like uh, peanut buttered, if you would, across broadly. And it had holes in areas, but everyone was like, it's okay because it keeps everybody safe. Where right now, either the expectation is either you bring those things or you partner with somebody to do it. And
Yep.
companies like yourself that have been set up to be able to support that, I think are going to accelerate out of that versus ones that are going to have to play catch up. And I don't think it's going to be okay to basically say no. What'll be interesting though, and maybe you're seeing it or not, you can comment on it, is that's all sounds good, but for the legacy, right? Our products were built for 30 years before. So are corporations and that, are they, do you think that budgets are going to open up a bit to where rip and replace might actually be a thing that actually happens?
Yeah, and we have those conversations now. Companies we weren't thinking of, even in very conservative verticals, are now thinking about how can we just change this whole workflow, and we're willing to spend the money. I think it's not so much about willing to pay for rip and replace, because all of a sudden you're in a different budget, right? You're in like your employee safety budget,
Right.
and not in the traditional security budget that is maybe part of something facility related. And all of a sudden you're in this big workplace people budget that people, and it's a number one concern right now. So it's like the willingness is definitely there.
Yeah, I mean, they say it's the biggest asset and expense that they have are the people that are there. So yeah, keeping them safe, but even more productive. Because I actually, that's an interesting part too, that's come of this is we were historically about keeping bad people out, and it lightly touched on productivity. I guess you could say the safety was allowing people to be productive, but now it's even greater of like how can you enhance the productivity of the people by giving visibility. So yeah. Um, well, I appreciate you doing this. I mean, your blog, I have to say, you write about this. That's you. I've wanted you to come on here for a while now through the thought leadership side, because you do take a fresh perspective of this. You've been in it now. At this point, you've been in it for a while, so you bring a level of awareness and understanding that I think is refreshing to the industry. So I appreciate you spending the time to do that, and continue. Hopefully, we'll continue to write, and we can continue to have conversations like this.
Sure. I think the thing that excites us the most is that we really chose to be in this industry. So we really have a very big vision around what we want to change at the workplace and how we see this playing into future scenarios. And that really is exciting. And I think for a lot of companies out there in the access control industry, that is difficult because they were mainly focused on manufacturing devices and how does it work with other security devices, and that is difficult to be a software company or to be an API company and have a vision about workplace. So I think that's kind of the struggle that maybe some of the more traditional companies out there have. But I think it's like, however that is possible, I think it's possible to change in small steps. Um, but I think we always considered ourselves a software company. And I think just like how you see yourself and what you stand for, um, I think is also interesting, right? So the access control industry has been long about how do different devices that are 30 years old still talk to each other, and we have to make that work. And we just, for a while, we said we don't do that, right? So that's not something we're interested in, because it just creates more mess and it creates more complications and it doesn't make things better. And so that's also something we did pretty early on as a change in this industry, I guess, is that we just decided where we say no. And I think that's what makes us sometimes more interesting, and also creates more fans, right? So when, by saying no, like, certain people understand, oh, these guys don't do this, okay, why? And then they understand what approach we have and why we do this. I think that that kind of is exciting for us.
No, I would agree. And it's actually one of the areas I think makes our industry hard is the corner case security side. So, you have companies that come in as startups and they great vision, great ideas, bang out of the gates, and then they start chasing either corner cases by customers or dealer base, whatever it might be. And it makes it really hard to continue the innovation. And you don't want to say no because don't want to miss that opportunity. But anybody with good discipline, I think, has the ability to do so. And then applying the resources where they should. So I'm happy to hear that that's what you all are doing. Yeah. So if somebody wants to find out more and read more about this, get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can check out our website, getkisi.com, or email me, Bernhard@getkisi.com. Be happy to chat more.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you for taking the time. It gave a good taste of sort of I think the culture and the mind of the people behind it, as well as sort of the vision of where the product's going. So thank you for taking the time and sharing the story with us.
Cool. Thanks a lot again, Lee, for having me on this, and looking forward to future conversations.